It's time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hey everyone, welcome back. As you can see, we are joined today by a very special guest, someone who's a friend of mine, someone who you might remember from Vanderpump Rules Season 8. Max, how are you?
I'm great, Adam. How are you?
My gosh, man, it's been a long time.
A long time. I mean, I haven't seen you since before the pandemic. Like you moved it before the pandemic, didn't you? Or during?
During the pandemic. No, I think I moved right at the end of it. And what's wild is last time we saw each other, I was in my Tom uniform and you were like, can go close out your tables right now.
Yeah. Time to get off the clock. You're running the clock.
Time to get off the clock. It's so wild how much everything changes so fast.
It's so wild. I walked past Tom the other day and I was just like, this is wild. It's so interesting. So it's like I lived 4 lives.
Yeah. Well, obviously we remember you, Max, for those who watched you on season 8. We kind of got a glimpse into your life, and that's based off of a very edited, watered down version that Bravo gives us. You were part of an ensemble cast, Vanderpump Rules, and as you can see behind me, there are a lot of cast members. So in each episode, you get maybe 5 to 14 minutes. Probably,
edited as best as they can to get the drama through or the storyline through, right? So it can be a good 15 minutes or a bad 15 minutes. Right?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And we're going to get into the good and the bad of it all. But for those who are watching, just to give them a little bit of a background on your story and who you are and who you were before being on the show.
Yeah.
You're not from Los Angeles. You're from Southern California?
I'm from Hawaii, San Diego. I grew up in San Diego, but born in Hawaii, moved to San Diego when I was younger. Went to school out there, grew up in, mainly, I would say I'm mainly from San Diego. So that's kind of where I started my restaurant journey, when I was in college. And I dropped out of school just to focus on running restaurants. And, this is where it's led me.
Which is wild because a lot of people watching the show might assume that you were never actually a real manager at TomTom, that you were playing a role for the TV show.
Yeah. No, a lot of people don't realize that, that's what I do. And that's what I was there for in the beginning. I wasn't supposed to be incorporated into being on TV, you know what I mean? Or I didn't interview to be on Vanderpump Rules. It just kind of fell in my lap because I was running the restaurant, So, and I think a lot of people think that I was some, I just got it handed to me. It was some fake GM thing, but I'm like, no, I'm actually putting blood, sweat, and tears in this restaurant and getting yelled at every day. So
getting yelled at every day. Well, I mean, walk us through what this looks like for someone like you who we grew up in Hawaii and San Diego. You started working in hospitality when you were in college, and then all of a sudden you fall into this restaurant, you start working, and you're offered to be a part of one of the biggest shows on Bravo. Obviously, this changes your life, but how did we even get here? How did you get on the show?
So, at the time I had interviewed with Ken they were looking for an AGM for the restaurant because they had a GM at the time, Leo, who was the GM at the time for the opening, the first couple weeks, maybe a month or two. And so he was already the GM. Things didn't work out. It's all good. So Ken promoted me to be the GM because I was there the whole time of open. I was pretty much doing everything already. Right. So, I became the GM and, just having to communicate with Tom and Tom often and being around all the time, we became friends. I took them to San Diego with me one time. This is all prior to even the show filming up again. They didn't really film much of the opening, I don't believe. But and obviously I wasn't incorporated at all then. I was working there, but they weren't just gonna throw me filming. I was kind of behind, I'm the GM, whatever. But what happened is that I think production and Bravo just saw how fluid and easy our relationship was. Tom, Schwartz and Sandoval and I, we became really close. And then I started dating Sheena prior to filming as well for a little bit. So I had that relationship there. And then word just got out that Sheena and I used to date. I'm also friends with Schwartz and Sandoval. So it just kind of it was organic. Easy. It was organic. It was just let's just see, and he's the GM. So let's just see what happens. Right. And then, the first day of filming, or that was supposed to be filming, I ended up, hooking up with somebody that I shouldn't have, but yeah, and then it all just spiraled into something, right? So that's just how it got, here we are.
And welcome to reality TV. No,
Yeah.
I remember you briefly dating Sheena and love Sheena.
Yeah.
A lot of people might assume that maybe you did that to get on the show. So anybody who might have those thoughts.
Yeah, no, it wasn't at all like that. And if anything, we stopped talking before cameras even went up, you know what I mean? And it was a very, it wasn't like that. We had a great time together. We're still great friends till this day, but then obviously for TV purposes, we had some drama and some issues, right? But it was all out of love. We've always, if we had a problem with each other, we always communicate, and like, it was never about being on TV, and her and I both know that, so I'm sure from an outside perspective, it could look like that, but we stopped dating even before cameras went up. You know what I mean? So like, how would that even make sense? So,
right. So now walk me through the timeline of this, because when you started filming, I remember having you solely as the manager at TomTom, and I remember you being super present. You were always there. It was like every time I was there, you were there before me, and then you were there after everybody. It was kind of like TomTom consumed your life. But then I remember the shift of you starting to film, and we had Richardson kind of stepping in a little bit because you would be, on the outs over here, and you had to go film scenes at this restaurant or whatever. And then after filming, you would rush over and then also work in the restaurant. And sometimes I saw you were absolutely freaking exhausted.
I mean, dude, the days were long, and it was tough. There was moments where I was like, I was sleeping, like I'd get out of TomTom at 3:30 in the morning, and I'd have to be back there like at 1 the next day, and not falling asleep till 5 a.m. or whatever. So, but yeah, filming, I'd have to film earlier in the day, or have a scene, and then I'd have to run the TomTom, have meetings, meet with Ken, go over what the night looks like, see what staffing's like, just normal restaurant operations on top of filming a show. And what was draining about that, though, is like, it's so draining dealing with drama, and I think anyone can kind of like, drama sucks sometimes. And when it's like constant drama on top of, then you got to go to work, and sometimes that drama chases you to work. It's like you can't even escape it at all. So you're just like mentally just fucked, right?
Right.
And it was a lot. So it was a lot doing both, but we made it happen.
For somebody like you who's super green to reality TV at the time, and you were brought on, and it's kind of like, you are being told, hey, look at some of the other cast members. They're buying $2 million homes. This is what life could look like after this.
Yeah.
What, for season 1, like, what incentivized you? Did they pay you a lot of money to join the show? Like, no?
No, they don't pay. They pay me little to nothing. I don't make, as a new cast member, you don't make episodic pay. You don't get paid per episode. It's just a flat rate. It's not a lot at all. It's like, just gets you by.
I heard it was like 3,000 to 5,000 with other cast members.
I think it was like 4,000 something like that. It was like around $4,000. I don't remember, but and they also pay it to you in like increment. Like they give you half the check to make sure that you stick around and film, and then they give you the final check like towards the end.
Right.
So it's not all up front. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's basically your rent and some groceries, and then another check for rent and groceries. Right. So yeah, no, it was tough. On top of like, I was spending a lot of money on just like, I had to buy like a lot of clothes again, and because I don't want to be wearing the same fucking clothes every episode. So I'm like, I'm blowing all this money on new clothes. I got to fly places with them. I'm like spending money on, my turn to buy drinks for everybody. It was like this. It was just like, it's like keeping up with the Joneses. You got to like, but what was cool though about, one thing I can say about filming with all those guys is that they were very understanding to the fact that I didn't have it like them yet. You know what I mean? So it was like, it wasn't like a problem, tabs were covered sometimes. This was like, Schwartz and Sandoval are always really cool about that. Sheena, especially, like, those guys were always like, don't worry about it, dude. We're going to take care of the dinner, or we're take care of this, or like, you know what I mean?
So if they gave you a call time and said like, hey, we're going to go to Tal tonight, and it's you, Lala, Sheena, at the time we're going to have Stassi, Kristen Doty, and like 3 other people. Production's not paying for that?
No, they pay for that. And they pay for Ubers there. But I'm saying, like, I mean, after that, you go do something, or like, they're not paying for my clothes. They're not paying for my clothes. They're not paying for, what we do prior to that or after that, or any plans that we have just together as people, or like, if there's an event that I need to go to, it was just like, I mean, it's a stupid, it's like, this is the most LA like sob story I've ever had. Like I couldn't, go
Right.
afford to go do some stuff, but like, whatever, um, it was just different, I just, when you hang out with people, if anything, it was motivating, to hang out. I like to surround myself with people that are doing really well, and that's just how you kind of mature in life. If you hang around the people that aren't, you're just going to stay at the same level. Right. So it was, it doesn't change anything, but Bravo, yeah, they take care of the dinners and everything. Like, of course they are always like, don't like, drinks and food is always on them.
I remember watching you and thinking and speaking to like Logan Cochran and just like seeing when Sheena brought in Miley Cyrus. And then I think, didn't you go back to Miley's house with them? Like I remember.
Dude, I always talk about this. Okay. So I feel like this was like a lucid dream, because Miley Cyrus, Miley is the coolest chick I've ever met in my life. Like, she's the coolest celebrity I've like, hands down. I've met a lot of celebrities in my life running restaurants and just, with what I, being on reality TV. Right. So she was hands down the coolest chick I ever met. We end up going back to her house. It's just like three of us and Miley, and we're just hanging out, talking. She's playing her whole new album that she hasn't even released yet. We're just having a great time. And, she's like giving us a tour of her house, all this stuff, super nice. Like, she was like invested in a weed company at the time. She like gives me a bunch of weed before I left. She's like, here, Max, take all this. Like, it was this coolest thing. And then like, I never have seen her again. I have never heard from her again. It was like not real. Like, I tell people the story and they're like, she doesn't follow you on Instagram. You don't have her like a number. You don't have pictures with her. I'm like, I know, but I promise you this happened. And she was my best friend that night. Okay. So dude, I literally
those 3 to 6 hours were I remember it because I remember when she came in and I served Sheena and all of them. And I talked about it when I flew to LA, I did shenanigans with Sheena, and she's like, I said, do you want to know what the coolest moment was that I remember? And she's like, Miley. And I was like, it was the Miley moment. And I remember you coming back in the next day.
Yeah. So, it was, oh God, I always think about that. Miley, if you see this, please call me.
Please call me.
Please call me. I want to hang out again. We're cool. Don't worry about it.
So after this, obviously our life is changing a little bit. I also recall everyone, once the show season 8 premiered, people started coming in. They were recognizing you at the bar.
Yeah.
This was exciting.
Yeah. So it's very exciting. I'll never take it for granted. People recognizing you and wanting to get to talk to you about the show, taking photos with you. I mean, the main people that came to Tom Tom were wanting to see Tom and Tom, right? And then when and then I'm somebody new, and even Richardson working with me, he would get recognized, and it was just like, it was cool. It was always like, it definitely makes you feel good. It was, I mean, I'll never say it didn't, but there are some times you're like, fuck, I don't want anyone to see me right now or recognize me, because 1 hour I don't feel good, or 2, I'm not feeling social or whatever the fuck. But yeah, it was definitely cool. It happened like overnight, right? So
right. All right. Well, obviously something went wrong. Let's touch on that really quick. So as this, like this big machine is happening, you're kind of being pushed out there. Everyone's starting to recognize you. They are digging into your past. They want to know who you are, where you came from. And if you have any skeletons, the Bravo fans are just itching to figure out what those are. And
going to find them.
We had tweets that, and not we, you had tweets that surfaced.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through this.
I made some derogatory, stupid comments on my Twitter when I was like, I think I was 18, like it was like 12 years ago at this point, or maybe even more. And you don't really think about shit like that when you're a kid, and it came back to haunt me. I even forgot they're even on my Twitter. I was very active on Twitter still till that day, but the things that I said then, I was like, it was, you had like 5 friends on Twitter. You think that you're being funny or not. It was just like one of those things that you don't know really what you're doing to hurt people, like that can hurt people in the future. And times have changed, and there are some things that you just really shouldn't be saying, right? But anyways, people, they dug it up and they found it, and it was really hard. One, because just the hate that you get, because people think because they read something like this that's who you are, like being called a racist, being called like just like things that like I I'm not, it's detrimental, and it's, it's, again, I don't want to make it about like, boohoo me, but you learn from it, dude. And
Did
it's I think it's more of a, instead of council culture, I heard a really thing. I think it's instead of cancel, it should be counsel. And I think it's guiding people and like, hey, that's not okay. You know what I mean? Instead of just the hate, right?
Do you feel like you were ever defensive once they came out? Like you were like, hold on, let me explain this to you really quick. Or did you understand immediately? Like, where was your mind? Was it like, this is not a big deal, let's move on?
Well, there's
or
two things. There's a lot of people that don't know that I come. My mom is Black. My grandfather raised me, who's African American. Like, I come from a Black family. My dad's really white, my grandma's really white, and therefore, as I'm a white passing, of course. But I identified as, I see my grandfather and I see my mom, and the conversation we have and this and that. Like, that's, you grow up and that's, you're like, I am that, right? But it doesn't, again, it should be like, I think it's always about, I should have known better. I should have known better to say that than like, it was okay. It's not okay. Right. But I should have known better not to say it, say these things and go about like that, because my mom has stories of racist encounters she's had. My grandfather was almost murdered. He was a narcotics officer in New York and back in the 70s, and he almost got fucking murdered for being Black, like, there's a lot of things that it's just like, there's a lot of things you should just know better when it comes to racial slurs and this and that. Right. So, yeah.
I remember when your mom was actually there at Tom Tom when Lisa came in to speak with you about the tweets that came up. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And your mom was in the back garden.
Yeah.
And you were sitting at a table and you were waiting, and Lisa walked up, and obviously that was a you and Lisa conversation, and that's private. But my question is, now that these tweets came out, how did your mom react as a Black woman? How did Lisa react as your boss and your executive producer? And how did your castmates react?
Well, let's start with my mom. I think my mom has, she has two ways about this. She's angry, she's disappointed in me, one, but like also she knows me. So she's like, this is being perceived wrong, but like there needs to be a reconciliation of like, this isn't who you are, like they need to know where you came from and like this and that. And it's obviously not what people are making it out to be. Right. So my mom was, just trying to figure out how to make it better, because I obviously felt so guilty, but she was also upset because as a Black woman, she's like, I don't like seeing my son get canceled. You know what I mean? Like, this sucks. Like, this isn't what she worked hard for, raising me. So she felt like she, till this day, she's upset. It's hard for her to see. It's hard for her to see the articles that came out and the comments and, me losing, being on TV and all that. She was very excited for me, and it's hard for her. And that's something that really affects me every day, if anything, is seeing my mom just upset with how everything turned out. And it's not even with me, it's just a situation. Right. And then Lisa, there was there's two ways with Lisa as well. There was, obviously, she was very upset. She was like, what the fuck, what's going on? And also she had to figure out like, if these things are true, that like now, like, oh great, now I have a manager that's racist, now I got to figure this out. So she suspended me from TomTom for 2 weeks. We filmed this, unfortunately never aired, but we filmed it. She suspended me from 2 weeks to do an investigation on me. This, just go around the staff asking them about me. Had a very intimate, serious conversation with Richardson at her house. And I was back at work within 9 days because literally everyone supported me. And
Richardson supported you?
Of course. Richardson is one of my close friends. I just had dinner with him 2 nights ago. I've had Christmas with him. I break bread with Richardson. He's my family. So, if anything, Richardson as well, that really affected him because he had people looking at him sideways about me being friends with me. And then he was like, he always had it's as a Black man, he's like defending me, you know what I mean? But he's also my friend, and he knows like this is ridiculous, right? So it was everything. So Lisa did her investigation. She spoke to staff, she spoke to Richardson, she spoke to other management, she did her whole thing. And there was nothing. My team, as you know, I created a solid foundation at TomTom. Everyone that I worked with was important to me.
It was a fun environment.
Yeah, the staff being happy was very important to me. And like, I definitely had my grumpy days, as you know, but like, you guys meant a lot to me. So it was really embarrassing. If anything, I was like, fuck, dude, the staff that like it sucks. You know what I mean? I didn't want my staff to see that of me. That sucks. Like, now that everyone looked at me sideways, they're like, but they also knew. They're also like, this is weird, but like, do I know Max or do I not know Max? This is very confusing because, of the situation. But I went back to work and everything was okay. And Lisa tried her best to fix that situation, and I don't know what happened. It just kind of spiraled. Then it was in January 2019, and then TomTom closed like 3 weeks later for the pandemic. So,
right.
And then when it came to the cast members, they all, it was like, they were like, I'm sure they were pretty bummed and pissed about it. You know what I mean? I know Lala was pissed about it. I know, my friends, obviously they know me and know my family and where I come from, like my mom and everything. And like, so they're like, fuck, you fucked up. You shouldn't have said this, but like, we know you're not this, we know you're being perceived wrong, So I don't know. There's ways around it, but there's ways that I don't know, they communicate. But
did you feel like at the moment that this all happened and you were sitting down with Lisa that same day that your mom was in the back of, TomTom, did you feel like I'm about to lose everything, or was there still like a glimmer of hope, like maybe they will keep me?
I thought I was going to lose everything. I thought everything I've worked hard for and just like my career, just being a general manager, it's something I've always wanted to do in a restaurant. I was 27 years old being a general manager, one of the busiest restaurants in Hollywood. It was insane to me. Like I felt like I accomplished something. I was like, I'm losing everything. My life is over. People are going to the way people look at me now is screwed. I mean, and it still is detrimental to me. Even getting a job recently took me 5 months. I didn't work for almost 5 months because, as soon as you Google me and I have an amazing resume, my LinkedIn's great. You look me up and it doesn't look good. Right.
Right.
And I can't, how do I reconcile that? And it's detrimental, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. We got to keep pushing, but it just sucks. It really it's not a good look. Right. So,
it kind of felt like a wave at that time for season 8, especially going through the pandemic and watching the Vanderpump Rules cast like crumble before our very eyes. It was you, Brett Caprioni, Stassi Schroeder, Kristen Doty, and then later down the line, Jax and Brittany made an exit statement, whether they were fired, canceled, whatever it was. But it just seemed like you guys were like falling like flies.
Yeah. But
now, like Stassi just wrote her Off With My Head, the book to surviving cancellation. And you have Kristen Doty, who made her appearance on season 10 of Vanderpump Rules after Scandival happened. You have Jax and Brittany, who are filming another show. And honestly, who knows where Brett is right now. But the point is they're filming, they're doing things. They have New York Times bestsellers. It kind of seems, based off of being on the outside looking in, it seems like they've come out of cancellation.
Yeah, they have, but I haven't. It's weird. You know what I mean? It's tough to even understand. I feel like everyone's gotten a second chance, and I'm just over here like chopped liver. But like, I don't know what. Jax has his new show. Kristen's filming again. I know Kristen on Vanderpump. She's filming again, and she's on the new show with Jax. I don't think Stassi even wants to go back to the show. I'm sure they asked her because everyone else is going back. Why wouldn't they ask Stassi back? But she has this whole book tour she's doing. She has a new child on the way. She has a beautiful life that she's good. Why does she need to go back to drama? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I know Brett's back in New Jersey at home, and he's just working out there and doing his thing. But yeah, dude, it's just like, it seems like everyone got out of the trenches and was able to boost their platform again. And then I'm just over here just still like fighting for my life.
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So now fast forward, the show is still on. And, there were rumblings. Alex Baskin, Alex Baskin?
I've never actually met him, but I know who he is. Yeah, of course.
Okay. So let's just call him the big head honcho at Bravo.
Yeah.
Alex Baskin. Now, recently said that Vanderpump Rules, he felt like before Scandival, we were kind of getting ready to close the chapter on this franchise.
Yeah.
But then,
I mean, season 9 was a fucking snooze fest. Season 8, it was really hard for season 8 for people to like us new people and get involved there. A lot of people didn't like season 8, my season, and a lot of people in season 9 I'd heard was just, I've never watched an episode, but I've heard it was terrible.
Yeah,
there was nothing to grasp onto. There's no drama, right? And that's what the show's about, unfortunately. But yeah.
So so season 8, yeah, they obviously brought in you, Charlie, Brett Caprioni, Dana Cathan, and Stassi went on in an interview and said that they brought all of you guys on because they were sort of introducing us to a whole new cast, and they were going to use her wedding in Italy as the segue into Vanderpump Valley, which was going to be the show that showcased the OG cast members of Vanderpump Rules. And I guess you, with the newbies, would have been heading this show, right?
Yeah.
That was the point. Were you in on that?
I mean, yeah, essentially I was, until, everything kind of crumbled before my eyes. But yeah, that was the idea. I'm sure that's what it was, but people weren't grasping onto it. You know what I mean? It's really hard. And I don't blame them. Like, when I see that people were like, I didn't like season 8, I'm like, I don't take it personal. I'm like, sure, if you don't like me or whatever, but like, I don't take it personal if they thought season 8 was boring or just not a thing, right? They were just like, we like these Vanderpump Rules casts we've been watching for 7 years. Why are we doing something new? People aren't really open to new things, right? So they did their best. And I feel like season 8, like when I look back at season 8, I really do think it was really focused on the new people too. Like they hyper focused on the new people, and like very minimally had drama with the old castmates, right? The OGs. Right. So, and some people don't think people really liked it. I don't blame them.
It's not just Vanderpump Rules, though. I talked to a lot of the cast members for the Real Housewives franchises, and I mean, all over the board when it comes to Bravo. And unfortunately, it takes a long time for the fans to get invested into new cast members. So,
yeah,
to your point, yeah, I get that. But
yeah, and another thing that, like, and it was just like, people always, like, I always would see that people would think that I'm really boring. They're like, Max is really boring on the show, and like I wouldn't act so, like, I wouldn't throw a drink in someone's face or like really start the drama. I was just always the drama, right? And then people don't realize, like, I had to be somewhat professional because, like, Ken and Lisa are my bosses still. Like, I'm running their restaurant, so I can't really act out and like get fucking hammered at a party and then like have it come back to me while I'm at work one day. You know what I mean? So I had to like really think about that while I was on the show, because I was like, at the end of the day, I'm still the general manager of a restaurant. You know what I mean? This is my career, so I can't like act out, right?
What an awkward fine line to have to walk.
Yeah, I know, it was very awkward because I had to act all professional and like this, and like, as you know me, I'm actually nuts, and I'm very outgoing and everything, but I kind of had to like bottle it in a little bit because obviously, one, I'm nervous. It's my first season. My first time being on TV. And two, I'm like, well, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm still a GM. I mean, I'm still running a restaurant. It's my career. What if I run another restaurant one day and they're like, oh, didn't you act nuts and crazy on this TV show? And I'm like, yeah, I did. But, there's other things that chased me instead. But still, like, you know what I mean? So season 8 was very, I think, hard for everybody in different aspects.
As time goes on, before Scandival, did you feel like there was a point that things started dying down and you kind of felt like, I can breathe, I can go places, like I'm sort of like, this isn't following me as much, it's starting to just chill out a little bit?
The canceling or being on TV in general?
The canceling, like people just really hating you.
I don't think it's ever really stopped. I mean, it does stop, but it's just like, I think as I go to therapy for this stuff because I'm like, you have 1,000 good comments about you, and then you read one negative comment about you, and that's all you hyper focus on, and it ruins everything about me. Or you as a person, you're gonna be like, you can do 1,000 rights and do one wrong. You're just like, I hate myself. Like, why did, like, you know what I mean? So, yes and no, because I always hyper focus on the bad when I see it. And it's not often, but like sometimes I'll see a comment about me. Like I can't even post a photo sometimes. And people are like, oh, look, it's the racist. I'm just like, are we still doing this? You know what I mean? Like, you're calling me, or like, where's, like, what are we talking about here? You know, it's just like it affects it. Just like it's so wild because I don't know. One kind of like one thing is like you cannot live in California and be racist. First of all, literally, it's impossible. That is not something that's not even a thing. It's a beautiful mixed demographic in this state. Like it's just impossible. Like this isn't somewhere where like someone would live like that. You know what I mean? So it's just funny when it's like it's funny, but it's also like that comment is just like it hurts. You know what I mean? Like when you read that about yourself, but it's all I focus on. Like, ugh, there you go. People call me a racist again.
Did everything boil right back up when Scandal hit and all of the drama came around with Tom, Raquel, this affair? Because as you know, Vanderpump Rules garnered a whole new audience. People who were never watching, now they're going back watching seasons 1 through 10 because that's all everyone's talking about. So they want to be in on the conversation.
Yeah, a new fan base, technically. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think I became relevant again, is what it was. You know, I think things died down, and then the people were watching the new episodes, or watching the new episodes, and also be like, we got to go back. I've never seen this shit before. I got to go back and watch all the seasons. I know many people that did that, and then like I noticed like I'm getting. It was almost as if I was on TV for the first time again, because like now I'm getting recognized more when I'm going out, just like getting drinks. You know, even my job, or like I can just like go check on a restaurant, and I'm just like walking around, people are recognizing me again. You know, like because I'm in the background of like their TV still, the reruns, or they're watching it with their significant others and or by themselves, but it's coming again. It's the most watched reality TV show right now, from my understanding, right? So it's definitely come full circle again, but it's not so much the negative. I can definitely say it's been more positive, but there are those couples that are like, and my season wasn't a good season for me. Let's be real. You know what I mean? I didn't look good there, and I never had another season to kind of redeem myself and show myself who I really was. I got bad edits. I got this, and I got it was just not a good season.
Some people get really pissed off when we blame editing.
Really? Yeah. Well,
but you feel like you got a bad edit.
100%. I mean, 100%. I mean, there was scenes where like I'll be rolling my eyes at something. I didn't even roll my eyes in that conversation. You know what I mean? Like there was definitely some things that I did wrong, right? But also there were some things that were so skewed. You know what I mean? Like I never cheated on Dana. I don't know where that storyline even came from. It was just like, there's just a lot of things that were I was also edited out of 3 episodes because Bravo was trying to, during that cancellation thing, they wanted like to not have me so in people's faces on TV. So they edited out all my interviews. So my side of stories never were there. It was just like me getting yelled at by everybody, and then not being able to, not everybody, like 2 people, and then me not being able to be in an interview room and being like, this is really what happened. Right. So people don't know my side for like 3 episodes. So like, there's like 3 episodes, I think the rest is like, I look like a complete dickhead and no one knows my side at all. Right. And interviews are important. Interviews get both stories. So
no, absolutely. And for you, now that you sort of checked out of this world, you're trying to get back to normal life. We're off the show. Scandival hits. Everybody's talking about it. Tom Sandoval, who was at one point one of your best friends, becomes the most hated person on Bravo. Which, if you thought you were going through some shit, Tom Sandoval literally was enemy number 1 across the world, right? And I'm not saying like everybody handles things differently, but I do want to ask you, were you shocked when all this came out? Like, did you expect this from him? Did it surprise you, or were you just like, oh, I saw this?
So it's funny because once, they said it was happening for like 8 months. I had just kind of pulled myself back from hanging out with Sandoval, only because like, I don't know. I just like, he was just doing other stuff, and he got busy. I got busy. And like, I just started really hanging out with Schwartz more than anything. Schwartz is more just like, he's more at Schwartz and Sandy's all the time. And, just he lives around the corner from me. So it's just easier for me to be around Schwartz more. And so I actually didn't see Sandoval for almost like 8 months, 9 months. And it was literally those months that was all happening with Raquel. Yeah. So Rachel or whatever. And so I didn't, it was like, it was very weird, but like also it was like, but it wasn't surprising because they were always together. Like when I did, like, let's say I did go grab drinks with Schwartz, and, Sandoval would obviously be there. Raquel would be there too, but it'd be like other people, there would be other people there too. Like whatever, like, like maybe 2 other people, like of our friend group, but like Raquel was always there, but I just always just thought she was just like, single, doesn't have any, she's not with James anymore, and she's just like trying to like be outside and just like hang out. And I never saw anything weird. They never were weird in front of me. You know what I mean? But they definitely were always together. So it was like, I don't know, but they were always like, I mean, even like I think Valentine's Day, didn't they like all have like a dinner together? You know what I mean? At Schwartz and Sandy's. I don't fucking know. I remember I was running a restaurant in West Hollywood, and they came in for dinner, and I thought it was just gonna be Ariana and Sandoval, and like it was like Ariana, Sandoval, Raquel, and like one other person. Like Raquel was just always around, so I just thought like it was just like that's like their homie. You know what I mean? That's just how that friend group is, though. When they make a new friend, they're like always around. I mean, that's pretty much how it was for me too. You know what I mean? Like when I made friends with everybody, I was always around. I was at every party. I was at every event. I was at every, they invite you everywhere. So that's how I looked at it too. I didn't fucking know.
Were you shocked to see all of the love that Ariana received and like her just skyrocketing into Dancing with the Stars, going to the White House?
No, it's the fan base of Vanderpump Rules is it's majority women, right? So they love to see a powerful bitch come out and just like win, right? That's what we all want. So I think seeing that was not a surprise at all. And I think it was, I think when it was good for Ariana, I know she just kind of like, she's very introverted, but she's like a perfect amount of extrovert introvert. She's very good at socializing, being around people, but she definitely likes being home and like doing her, like just being, doing her thing. So like, this is really like, I've seen a new side of her. That's like, she's just, skyrocketing it up. So, good for her. She has a new boyfriend too. So
do you know anything about, since you are still a part of the group, and you're not filming, right? But have you heard anything? Because and I never, listen, Max, especially in the short time that we created this YouTube channel and where we're at today, we don't reveal sources. So I've heard from everyone that Raquel will not be filming in any capacity for season 11. And everyone that I try to confirm this with, they're like, it's confirmed. And people are like, Adam, are you sure? Do you know what you're talking about? You guys,
I don't know why people think that someone would come back after that kind of stuff. And like, people got to realize she's young. One, her mental health is completely down spiral. Like she mentally can't handle being on a television show. And so I can promise you that she is never coming back, because why would she? She's literally knows that all she's going to do is get, like, you can only handle even me, who I didn't even go through something as bad like that. You know what I mean? And I didn't go back on the show. So I can't imagine what conversations I would have to have, but like, no one in the fact that Sandoval's even going back it's wild. So you got to be a really tough bitch to do that. And I can promise you Raquel's not going back. Confirmed, not going back.
Do you think it's wild that the cast completely, everyone rallied around Ariana, and it was like Tom, again, public enemy #1. And then you see all the photos surfacing now, and it's like Tom's at James' house for the water tasting party, and Tom's at the beach. Like when you guys filmed your beach.
You got to realize when it comes to that, like, they give us, nothing's scripted, right? But they give us call times, and there's things that we have to be at. And if they send us a text and like, hey, tomorrow at 1:00, you have to be here. They're on a TV show. They have to be there. They have a scene. They have a scene to film, and they don't know what it is. Sometimes they don't know what they're walking into. It could be, it could be anything. Like, it could be a brief description of what you're doing if it's something, kosher and fun, but you have to be there. So when everyone's like getting mad that like they see Sheena taking a photo with Sandoval in a big group or whatever, she had to be there. She's not like kicking it and going to dinner with him on the side, right? Like without the cameras up. Like when the cameras are up, you have a call time, you have to be there by 1 p.m. or 10 p.m. or whatever the fuck. You have to be there. So no matter who you hate, who you don't want to talk to, this is your contract. This is what you have to do. Right. So, it's people got to understand that. Like, and this is part of what it is.
Do you have any relationship with Billy Lee or Charlie at this point?
Not Billy Lee. Like when I see Billy Lee, it's, it's like if I bump into her, it's how you doing, hugs, right? But I don't know. I'm not friends with her like that. Charlie, I'm really close with Corey, Charlie's boyfriend. So I see Corey a lot. He was just over at my apartment a couple weeks ago. We had a party here. He's one of my close friends. So I talk with Charlie, like if I go over there, like we're cool, but I know that she's not going back to the show either. She's just kind of on her own journey right now. And she just doesn't agree with some things that Bravo wants to do with her, you know? So I think she's just on her own path right now.
Do you think she was fired?
No, not fired.
She wasn't fired.
No.
Have you heard anything about, because everyone now is saying, which we kind of assumed at the very beginning when they started filming season 11, about Tom Sandoval, you know, coming back in, who's going to film with him? What does this look like? And then we saw Billie Lee heavily attaching herself to Tom, being there as a supportive friend. And I was like,
yeah.
This is obviously like, we are going to have Billie Lee filming scenes with Tom Sandoval. Have you heard anything about Billie filming?
I have, honestly, I don't think she's going to, but she could. I mean, I don't know. Like, they even tried to get Dana back, and I know she like put her toe in the water and then pulled out. So yeah. I don't know about Billie Lee. Maybe they'll bring her in for something because she's been the only one to kind of stand by Sandoval, right? During this time, she's been with him a lot. So maybe, and you know, she was on the show before, but I don't know what more it'd be than just her yelling at each other, asking why you're so friends with, you know what I mean? I don't think it'd be that interesting, right? The conversation that possibly could be, but I don't know.
Speaking of that interesting, I did a video where I had my live hot messy topics where we kind of go over 6 or 7 different Bravo topics. And I brought up a photo of you sitting at a table with Jax Taylor and a few other people, because it seemed like we were filming the new spinoff. And I was like,
yeah,
oh shit, we got Max back. Max is coming back. Can you tell us anything about filming the spinoff? Have you filmed for it? Are we not?
I haven't. I've gone to I went to a boys' night. I was there. But I haven't, like, I've been invited to film things, but I'm also like, I'm working and I can't. It's not like when I was a GM at Tom Tom, I can be like, hey, I'm going to go film real quick. I'll be back. Like, I actually have like an office and a job that I need to be at, so I can't like be running around. So I've missed a lot of opportunity, like a lot of fun parties or whatever. But I also haven't been invited to a lot. But Jax has asked me to, you know, to be on the show or film with him and have, you know, do that. But the last thing I went to, I didn't identify with it. You know, it wasn't for me. I feel like I was at a boys' night. They're all older. They all are married. They all have kids, or, you know, I don't know. It's just not, it wasn't for me. So I actually took off my mic and I left. I'm like, I'm good. We were filming and I'm just like having a drink, talking to the boys on the side. And I don't know if the cameras were on me or not. I wasn't really paying attention because I think Jax was filming in the corner with somebody, but I was just like, you know what? I pull up my mic and I was just handed the producer. I'm like, I'm good, guys. I'm going to leave. So it's not for me. I don't think it's like my vibe.
It's more, so from what I'm gathering, it's kind of more focusing on like a more mature aspect of where the people are in their lives now, as opposed to pouring tequila on Katie's head and all of these, like what it used to be.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a very, the audience for that's going to maybe be a little different. I don't know if it's going to be the same audience that loves Vanderpump Rules, because I mean, again, the reason people watch Vanderpump Rules is because the drama and the tea and the shock and like everything is like jaw dropping. It's like watching, you know, it's like watching Stranger Things. Like, you can't wait for the next episode, right? It's like that's where we get left with Vanderpump Rules. Like, I can't wait for next week's episode. Like, shit's going down.
Right.
So I don't know how that's going to correlate with the Valley, but I'm sure I don't know. Like, I would hope that no one would cheat on each other on that show. I would hope that there wouldn't be any like detrimental drama like that, right? Because they're all married and happy and have like amazing lives right now. So I don't know what that story looks like. It's hard for me to understand, right?
Do you think it's going to be called Vanderpump Valley, like the original spinoff was supposed to?
I think it's called the Valley, or like, I don't know, like Valley, or maybe Vanderpump Valley. I'm not sure. I know there's like new people that aren't even Vanderpump like filming on it too. Like they're friends that like they've known for years that like are down to film. Right. So I don't know. I think it's going to, and they live in the Valley, and I don't know. I don't really know what the name could really be. I mean, I probably can change tomorrow, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure just Valley or something like that, the Valley.
So now kind of where you are in your life, I mean, it's been about 3.5 years, right? I
think it's been more. I get memories on my Instagram, and we opened up Tom Tom 5 years ago.
But since you've been canceled, I think it's been 3.5 years.
It's been it's been about 3.5 years. So it happened the end of 2019 going into 2020, I believe. So, and it was during the worst time of like the world, you know?
Right.
So it was about 2019.
Looking back,
yeah,
if you could have done anything differently, like if you could have told yourself something 5 years ago, yourself back then, starting Tom Tom, whatever the case is, if you could just go back, what would you have done differently, if anything?
I think, I mean, this is one, a tough question, but two, I think, I would never, like, this is the thing. I can't, like, I would never, like deleting the tweets wouldn't be a thing if I, you know what I mean? That's like, you know, that they were said. So I think it would be more like, I really wish I was able to 5 years ago, just, I really express to people and identify with the fact that of what my race is and who I am. And I don't mean these things, and somehow Bravo and incorporating my story with my family, and maybe being more communicative about like, hey, this is what this really is like for me. This was my life. Maybe we can talk about that. Maybe we can talk about the fact that my grandfather taught Black History Month at my school for like 3 years every year, or like, you know, and like, and talk about, maybe interview my mom and like what, I don't know, like maybe her and I having a lunch together, or like something like that. Like that's where it's not like what I would do differently. It's what I wish could have been done. Right. Because I don't know, it's hard. Like, you know, we always say, oh, I wish I can go back in the time and change this. But like sometimes everything happens. It's a corny saying, everything happens for a reason. Right. And it's so we can learn from it. Like even like relationships with people that I've dated, and even if it's been heartbreaking or not, like even heartbreak is you learn from it. Right. You learn how to treat somebody, or, you know, how to do better in your next relationship. So I think it's like that with life, with anything. You just have to learn from it. And I think there's ways that we could have gone around it better. Right.
I understand. And if they ever asked you, now that they have asked Kristen or a few other people, like if they called you and said, hey, we would honor what your season 2 pay would have been, we're going to make you a main cast member, we want to bring you back on, is this something that you're saying yes to? Or are you saying, after everything that I've been through, no?
It'd have to be really a detailed conversation, because I think if I go back, I would want a better, like, I would want to like better, I don't want it to just be drama. I want it to like be like, let's follow this. If I'm going to go back, we need to go back into my life as well, but go back in the time and create something interesting. I don't know. I don't think to answer your question, no, I wouldn't go back. I thought I wanted to go back. I was really excited. Like I thought I wanted to go back, and then I realized that I'm comfortable and at peace with not going back. But because honestly, dude, it's like, it's so stressful, the drama too. Like when I really think about it, and I sat and I've meditated about this, I just thought about it. I'm like, that the way I felt, and like the way I wasn't able to sleep at night, and the way I just treated my body, as in like drinking all the time and partying and like just trying to just suppress things because of being stressed out, or like, you know, drama filled. I just don't, it's not worth it. I don't know how they do it. Honestly, I don't know how they've been doing it for 11 years. It's literally, it's very, very hard. And I was on for one season. So
I don't know how Lala does it sober now, but
yeah, I don't get it. It's you got to be a different breed of a human to be able to handle that. Like just being quick too, you know, like in an argument, being like quick witted and this and that. Like you got to be on lock, and it's hard. It's not mentally. That's why I know Raquel's not coming back either, because like you got to be really mentally stable to be on that TV show, and you know that's just not. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Right. So now, where are we at? Like, what's next? What does Max's life look like now? And like, what are your hopes moving forward?
My hopes moving forward, you know, I finally have a good job that I'm really happy with. That took me a while to get, and I'm in a better place. You know, I love where I live. I love my job. I'm just kind of really focusing on that, you know, and if other things arise, I'm interested. It's worth the conversation. You know, like as far as being on TV again or something, but again, I think that's another thing that I deal with that's really tough, is that with being canceled, like, and me not having the support like everyone else has of getting out of cancellation, I don't think no one wants to work with me again on TV. Right. So I don't know what that future with TV looks like, but I just know as far as my career, I'm really just dialing in on that. Maybe, you know, opening my own bar in like one day, and I have a skincare line that I'm starting as well. Like I just have things that like I'm passionate about that I'm just going to dial in on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Max, I appreciate you jumping on and joining me for this. I feel like you haven't, since all of this happened, I don't think that you've done any interviews or spoken to anybody about this.
I haven't. I talked to one guy. God, I feel like a dick that I'm forgetting his name. I'm just having a blank. I'm sorry if he sees this. I'm very sorry, but he lives in New York. He's a great guy. I did this podcast. But that was like, it was very brief. I don't think, and that was it. It was like that. I've only done one thing. But yeah, this is kind of, that was a long time ago. Like this is the first time in 3 years I've done something. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Max.
Yeah, no, thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. It's good to see you.
My God.
Feeling great.
It's been so, man, it's been so long, but I'm about to be in town. So we definitely have to get together.
Yeah.
We'll meet up. Maybe if you're going to Sheena's show, we can meet up at Sheena's show. Whatever the case is,
sure.
I'll definitely.
Yeah, hit me up. I might go to Sheena's show. I'm going to see her tomorrow. So I'll ask her about it and see what that's all about. So, yeah.
All right. All right, guys. So for anybody who's watching, we appreciate you. Make sure you go ahead, smash that like button, show some love. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. And then definitely just get activated in the comments. Let us know what you think about the full conversation. This has been an interesting one. But again, Max, it's nice to hear your side of the story. It's nice to compare it to other people who you were on the same cast with, who have come out of cancellation, and see where you're at now.
Yeah. I really appreciate you. This has been fun.
Definitely. We'll see you next time, Max.
All right. Bye, guys.